Death can be beautiful, in the right context, and in Subnautica, a game about survival against hostile nature, a deadly bacterium, and an alien planet that does not particularly care whether you live or die, death is everywhere. Yet the way it presents itself is beautiful. Spoiler warning, there will be story elements explored in this video. When you first climb out of your escape pod, you're greeted by the burning wreck of the Aurora. The ship you called home only minutes ago now lies in ruins, a smouldering wreck, filled with the corpses of your friends and colleagues. There is the revelation of the Kharaa bacterium, a disease that has claimed billions of lives and pushed the planet's remaining ecosystem to the brink of extinction. And just when a glimmer of hope appears, the sunbeam, your ticket off this world, it is obliterated before your very eyes. But despite all this tragedy, Subnautica still feels calm, serene. Even when the hungry reapers appear to remind you just how fragile you are, there is still beauty here. I still remember my first dive, where I was swimming through schools of fish with the sunlight rippling above me, and that iconic, soothing soundtrack in my ears. Contrast that with my PDA calmly reporting extinction-level death tolls, environmental hazards, and the slow progress of an alien bacterium gradually destroying my immune system. Even the leviathans, creatures of sometimes immense scale, felt scarce, like remnants, echoes of a previous age. It was then that I understood Subnautica isn't simply showing us a planet barely hanging on as Kharaa and the Sea Emperor's trace amounts of enzyme duke it out and struggle for dominance in this tiny little oasis of life. It's inviting us to appreciate what still exists and what once did before it's all gone, killed by the bacterium or simply buried by the sands. This is a game about presence, about living in the moment, about understanding that beauty is often most powerful when it's temporary. But to understand that beauty, we first need to look at how Subnautica presents death, not as a spectacle, not as violence, but as silence. Planet 4546b is not actively falling apart. The collapse has already happened, it's past tense. What we are witnessing is the aftermath, an ecosystem surviving on borrowed time. This is an era where so much life has already been lost that only what the Sea Emperor's enzyme can barely sustain remains. While the majority of the planet is barren and sterile, save for the Arctic zone, the volcanic crater and the surrounding void exists in a fragile deadlock between two opposing forces, the Kharaa bacterium and a cure that is not strong or present enough to truly beat it. The world is still alive, but significantly weaker, and the evidence for this decline is everywhere. There are still plenty of creatures showing clear signs of infection with those glowing green spots, boils, pustules, whatever you want to call them, and if you travel far enough to the edges of the crater, you encounter the true end state of Kharaa, the void. A dead zone with no thriving ecosystems, no plants, no schools of fish, just microscopic organisms and colossal leviathans drifting through the darkness, all originating from what little life remains inside the crater. And on the subject of leviathans, where are they? There are so few of them now. Subnautica emphasizes this by making them finite. With the exception of the ghost leviathans in the void that act as a method of enforcing the game map boundaries, if you kill a leviathan, it never returns, it doesn't respawn, it's gone from your game now. Players have the ability to erase entire species forever, not through story elements, but through player action. I can't describe how shocked I was when I first found that out. It made me want to avoid them just to preserve them. It felt like digital poaching. Encounters stopped feeling thrilling and terrifying and started feeling sacred. I would stand back and just watch these incredible creatures pass by. It was melancholy. These weren't bosses, they were remnants. Ancient titans reduced to dwindling numbers, barely surviving in a world that no longer supports them. Did you know there are only 3 sea dragons in the whole game? And if you manage to kill those sea dragons, then that's it. No more sea dragons. The great behemoths of the lava zone are gone forever. In Subnautica, you are not watching a world end here. You're swimming through its final chapter, lingering in the quiet moments before that story finally ends. And yet, even in its decline, the world is wonderfully beautiful. Subnautica uses beauty as a way of making loss hurt more, and the deeper you go, the clearer it becomes that this world's fate is terminal. The biomes show this perfectly, not loudly or dramatically, but patiently. We start off in the safe shallows, where everything feels safe and alive. Dozens of species of flora and fauna surround you, nourishing you, sustaining you, creating the comforting illusion of vitality. It feels like a world in its prime. Then comes the kelp forests. Life still abundantly exists here, but something has shifted. The light is filtered, the water grows darker. Towering strands of kelp dominate the space, creating pockets of darkness and forming a winding underwater maze in the coral and the rock. It's still beautiful, but now it's uneasy. The world feels older here, a bit more worn down. Descend further past the grassy plateaus and you reach the isolated jelly shroom caves. Bioluminescent mushrooms provide the only light in the darkness. They exist in symbiosis with the crab snakes that hide in wait for prey inside them, something I found out the hard way. A reminder that survival here depends on a delicate balance, all of it buried beneath the rusting remnants of the Degassi crew that once called this place home. And then there's the Lost River, my personal favourite biome. Toxic green brine flows across the ground, pooling into poisonous lakes. Skeletons of long-dead creatures and past titans lie half-submerged, barely visible, reaching out from beneath the glowing fog. Buried under the thriving world above, this place is a graveyard, a record of what once lived here. Finally, you venture down into the lava zones. Any semblance of safety is stripped away here. It is hot, it is violent, it is hostile down here. Warpers still patrol in a futile attempt to contain a disease that has already won. And the sea dragons, terminal, isolated, roaring into the nothingness, swim alone. In the context of their scarce numbers, their roars don't sound like threats anymore. They sound like a declaration, like it's calling out, "I am still here." What makes all of this more powerful is what Subnautica doesn't do. Creatures don't scream or thrash when they die, they simply go still and silent. Life ends quietly, without spectacle. Even the colour palette works to reinforce this. The hopeful blues of the shallows give way to the murky greens of the Lost River as the sunlight fades. Then comes the harsh reds of lava, and in the void, the black of nothingness. And the music, oh, beautiful. It's ambient, it's soft, it's lonely. It never tries to oversell events here. My personal favourites are firstly the creepy Lost River track with that drawn out, hollow vocal piece. And secondly, the mesmerising tranquility of the track that plays when you find the cove tree. These tracks don't dramatise extinction, they let you feel it. But through all of this, the game never asks you to panic about the finality of it all. Like I said, it's past tense, you can't change it. Rather, it invites you to notice, to understand that this beauty exists not in spite of death, but because of it. And that sense of loss becomes even clearer when we look at what's already gone. The Leviathans of Subnautica are ghosts of a bygone age, remnants of a time when they dominated this planet, but now they are no longer bosses. They are elders, survivors whose era is ending, and for some of them, their deaths give way to unexpected beauty. In the Lost River, we find the remains of the gargantuan Leviathan, a 3-million-year-old super predator, long extinct. Its skull alone dwarfs your largest submarine, and only a third of its body is visible. The other 2/3 are presumably somewhere out there in the void. The entire crater of Subnautica, the volcanic structure itself, formed around this thing's skeleton over millions of years. For a creature like this to have existed, Planet 4546b must once have supported unimaginable abundance, an ocean rich enough to sustain something so colossal. Now it stands as a tombstone to that forgotten age. And yet, nature is never wasteful. The remains are now host to a thriving micro-ecosystem, beauty emerging from extinction, and those microbes help feed the growing ghost leviathans. Bioluminescent filter feeders hatched from eggs in the nearby cove tree, a place of peace and tranquility untouched by hostility, almost heavenly given the ambient music score. One would expect such creatures to be gentle given their diet of microscopic life, and yet they are fiercely territorial, attacking anything that enters their space. Their life cycle is quite tragic. I feel kind of bad for them. They hatch in the blissful sanctuary of the cove tree, grow within the confines of the lost river, feeding on the microbial life from the gargantuan leviathan's remains, and then migrate to the open water to venture the vast oceans. But instead, thanks to Kara, there's no life out there now. It's all dead. They end up just looming in the void, surviving on microscopic life found in the detritus drifting from the crater. It's kind of shitty. In a bygone age, you can just imagine these colossal beings roaming the endless oceans freely. Now they are reduced to scavengers in the dead space, like sharks circling a lifeboat. A short swim away from the ghosties is the skeletal remains of the mother sea dragon, the creature whose attempt to save her unhatched children inadvertently triggered the planet's collapse. Her attack against the architect's facility caused the release of the Kara bacterium, and the physical trauma of the impact killed her. She stands as a silent monument to consequence. This is what she did, what happened, and where she now lays. And finally, the Reapers. Often, the first Leviathan players encounter when they go to explore the wreck of the Aurora, only to find these guys waiting for you. But even they are endangered. Unlike other Leviathans, we never see Reaper juveniles or their eggs. Some speculative theories suggest the Aurora may have crashed into their nesting grounds, compounding an already dire situation. Not only do they have Kara and dwindling numbers to contend with, but the Reapers are the primary food source of the sea dragons. Look for the entrance to the Lost River near the mountain biome, and you will find it littered with Reaper skeletons, from where the sea dragons swam up to the surface to drag a Reaper back down to roast and consume in the fiery pits of the lava zone. Now, while you have the right and ability to kill the Leviathans, it feels wrong, I think. You aren't meant to conquer them, they've already been beaten. They are all on borrowed time. These are not threats, they are survivors, clinging to existence in a world that has already moved on. And nowhere is that loss more personal than with the Sea Emperor. The death of the Sea Emperor is pivotal, because this is not merely a death, it is a sacrifice, it is love, it is hope, and it is devastatingly beautiful to witness. But it is also a heavy weight for the player to bear, knowing we played a role in it. The Sea Emperor is an ancient, intelligent being who has been imprisoned alone for over 1,000 years, waiting for someone to come and free her children. Within the confines of the primary containment facility, she has had nothing but her unhatched eggs for company and some tamed wildlife. And yet her existence was the single thing that saved life on planet 4546b. The enzyme she produced was not strong enough to stop Kara, but it was enough to slow it, to hold the crater zone in a fragile equilibrium. There is beauty and respect to be found in that unrelenting resistance to death. While the rest of the planet fell, except for the Arctic zone, the volcanic crater endured. The hatching of her children represents continuation, renewal. With their release into the ocean comes not only the end of Kara, but the chance for 4546b to begin again. What felt like the final chapter now gives way to another story, the sequel, a quieter story, but a hopeful one. The Sea Emperor's death is gentle, peaceful. In her own words, she rests at last among the sands. Her death was inevitable. In many ways, I believe, she should have died long ago, but she endured beyond her natural life so that her children might have one too. I mean, she drops just seconds after you release them. And yet, a question lingers. Is this genuine hope, or simply delaying the inevitable? Sure, we can see the juveniles all grown up, but Subnautica never shows us the recovery. The Leviathans remain on the brink of extinction, unless you already killed them, in which case they're gone forever. The cure won't bring them back. On top of that, entire species are already gone. The world has been hollowed out, it's scarred by the loss of so much. So we are left in deliberate ambiguity. Are we witnessing the genuine beginning of renewal, or the final act of mercy in a story already written? The cure ends this catastrophe, sure, but it does not end decay itself. This is still a wounded world. Maybe there is simply just not enough life left to get things going again. And that is why this moment feels bittersweet, not triumphant. The Sea Emperor's death embodies the beauty of a dying world. Beauty that exists because something ended, not in spite of it. She died so others might live. Her actions give us hope, but it does not come with all the bells and whistles. It's quiet. There is no promise of rebirth, only the chance to move forward. The Sea Emperor's story ends here, and yet her absence lingers as a question. Because even as life is given a second chance, the world she leaves behind remains scarred, diminished, and changed forever. What was lost stays lost. Extinction is not undone. Time does not reverse. It's a chance, not a guarantee. To understand why this ending feels so restrained, why Subnautica never celebrates survival with triumph, we need to look at the role of the player at the end of the game in this world, not as a hero or a savior, but as a witness. With the bacterium defeated and your infection cured, you no longer have a purpose here. From the very beginning, your goal was never to save this planet. It was to survive long enough to leave it, to be rescued, and the game doesn't let you forget that. You cannot truly finish Subnautica unless you build and leave in the rocket to go home. There is no alternate ending where you stay to rebuild lost species. You don't terraform the dead zones or restore what was destroyed. You leave. Your bases, your submersibles, they are all abandoned, left to decay and be claimed by the sands, like the remains of so many others as the planet moves on without you. It's about understanding that nature was always in control, and about learning to appreciate what is and what was before it's gone, about recognizing the beauty in a world that is fading and having the good grace to say goodbye. Subnautica teaches us that the world is beautiful precisely because it is temporary, and that idea extends to our own world, I think. It asks us to appreciate the forests before they're cut down, to appreciate the sea before it's filled with waste, and to appreciate the sky before it is choked with pollution. We leave knowing that the ocean will continue just fine without you, and that's okay. It was never about conquering the unknown, it was about witnessing a beautiful alien world on the brink of extinction, about being present for this moment, about sharing in the beauty of what once was, and that is what makes its ending quietly devastating. It's about understanding that sometimes the most beautiful things are not meant to be saved, only remembered. But hey, that's just what I think. Please hit the like and subscribe if you made it this far, leave your comments below to share your thoughts, big up the patrons and channel members, and special thanks to Viger, Zehex and Andre Bashert.